I get asked all the time by viewers to see my setup for both cybersecurity and for YouTube. Since I've never done a tour of my studio, in this video, we're actually going to do a tour of my minimalist setup so that you can see where all the magic happens in the videos that you're watching. Everything that you see in this video is linked at johngood.com/equipment, and I'll also leave a link in the description so that way if you want to pick up anything for the holidays or just to add to your setup in general, you'll have the link to do so. Let's go ahead and jump into the video. All right, so we're going to start out with the main computer. Now this was a pre-built computer from NZXT, but I do have the specific parts. So the case is an NZXT H510i ATX mid-tower case. The power supply is a 600 watt EVGA bronze power supply. The motherboard's an MSI MPG Z390 Gaming Edge AC. And it's LGA 1151. The processor is an Intel Core i7-9700F, and that's 8 core at 3 gigahertz. The CPU cooler that you see right there in the middle, so right there in the middle of it, that's going to be a deep cool CPU air cooler with RGB lighting. I actually opted to go with the fan cooler instead of the water cooling system. You can see a picture there of it. As far as the RAM, when I originally got this computer, it was built with 32 gigs of RAM. I've actually upgraded it, so it has G-Skill Trident Z Royal series, and it has 4 sticks of 16 gigabytes each, so 64 gigabytes total. And you can see it right here. It's all lit up. As far as storage, this has got 2 different hard drives in it. So it originally came with the Intel 660p M.2 PCI SSD with 1 terabyte. And then I also added a Samsung 970 Evo Plus M.2 SSD with 1 terabyte. If I had to do it again, I probably would do 2 of those Samsung SSDs, but the Intel actually has the operating system on it, and it's Windows 10 Professional. So this is the main computer that I use for all the recording and all the editing of the videos. If we go on over to the monitors here, and we'll move the chair out of the way. And if you hear any noise in the background, it's because I actually reduce the noise gate, so the things that you can hear when we're actually on the video. So you don't hear a lot of the actual extra noise that's going on in the room. But as far as the monitors, we'll start out here in the center. So we have two 32-inch Dell S3221QS curved displays, and they're 4K monitors. So I have one here in the portrait and one here in the landscape configuration. I used to have them side by side, but I think I like this a lot better, and I've changed this about a couple months ago or so is when I actually made this configuration change. Then over here to the right, I have one Dell P2222H 22-inch monitor, and that's a full HD monitor. And then over here on the left side, down here, I have a Wacom Cintiq 22 HD touch display, so I can actually draw on that display. And that is actually mounted with one Ergotron LX single monitor arm. If we go back here and we look, you'll actually see that I have everything mounted, even these other Dell monitors. Now, those monitors are on Kensington single monitor arms, and you can see them right here. There's 2, and then there's a third one over there for that monitor as well. If we go back here to the front, now, so as far as peripherals, there's a few different things that I have set up here, and we'll try to get a good picture of this. It's kind of messy, I know. But right here, this is a USB hub, and I have 2 of those. Now, those are Atola 7-port powered USB 3.0 hubs. If we go back here to the front, and we'll have to move this monitor a little bit so you can see it. I actually have this KVM right here. So you can plug in 4 different computers into there, and it's a DisplayPort KVM. So it will only take DisplayPort plugs, And I even tried using a adapter going from like HDMI to DisplayPort, and it wouldn't actually recognize it. So that's kind of a downside of that particular one, but it's actually very useful to plug in a bunch of different computers into. So I love that thing. As far as the keyboard, I have the Logitech Ergo K860 wireless ergonomic keyboard. The mouse, pretty standard, Logitech MX Master 3 wireless mouse. As far as the desk, I'll back up here so you can see it. And I know it's pretty messy underneath, but you don't see that on the actual videos. But the desk is an uplift standing desk, and I bought it about 6 years ago, so it can raise and lower as I need to, and then I have that pad that I can stand on underneath there. And then the chair, put this in here so you can see it. So that chair is actually from Uplift Desk 2. It's a Pursuit ergonomic chair. And I was looking at a bunch of different chairs. I wanted a really nice chair because I spent a lot of time, obviously, in that chair. And this one was not the most expensive one, believe it or not. And I really didn't want a gaming chair either. But this chair is amazing. Highly recommend this. So Uplift Desk, if you want to sponsor anything, get me a new desk, new chair. I'm completely down for that. Let me know. Then as far as the couch, this is just a fairly standard couch. I got this at a store called American Furniture Warehouse about 10 years ago. So it's definitely going strong still. It's leather. There's no real cracking or anything like that that's going on in it. And this actually used to be my main couch, and then I got a different couch, so I moved this one into here. Now, talking about camera gear here, let's go ahead and go back to the computer here. So, first of all, I have this Elgato 40K60, Elgato 4K60 Pro MK.2 capture card, and that's what you see right here. So the cable goes from the camera into that, and then there's an out plug as well, so I could output that to a monitor, but I don't typically do that with that one. Then I also have the Elgato Camlink USB here, so right here, and that is the 4K USB capture card. So I have one PCIe card and one USB capture card. Then, as far as cameras, I'll show you this camera right here. So this is one of my cameras, and the other camera is an exact duplicate of that camera, and it's actually over here, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the cameras that I use Sony Alpha A6400 mirrorless cameras, and so there's DSLR, there's mirrorless, and those are really high-end cameras, so I really enjoy using those as opposed to like a webcam or something like that for recording. And typically you aren't going to need that kind of quality unless you are making videos, but it's really done me well. I started out with one of those, really liked it, and I wanted to get two different angles, so I ended up picking up a second one and couldn't be happier. Now the lens that those have, they both have, again, the same thing. So they have a Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens. So that makes the background actually blurry when you see me on camera. And so that's why you see like my certifications and things like that, they're blurry when you're looking at the actual video. Okay, so moving on here. Now, right here, this screen right here, that is actually it's called a Lilliput A11 10.1 inch 4K monitor. So you can use that and plug it in with cameras and some different outputs or inputs. And I have that plugged into the computer basically as another display. So I can put things on the screen, slides or something like that, and I can actually see what I'm doing. I can put Zoom calls on there, and that way I'm looking directly into the camera because it is on a teleprompter. So that is the newer X12 teleprompter, and there's several different kinds, but I like that one a lot. I tried a few of them, and that one seemed to work a little bit better than some of the other ones. And it's on a Zomi camera tripod. You can kind of see that back there. So that's a heavy-duty tripod, and I really, really like that tripod. It's done me very well. Now, as far as webcams, I do have a webcam right here that you can see. It doesn't get a ton of use, but that is a Logitech C9020S HD Pro 1080p webcam. So I'll use that for a little bit of stuff, but not too much. Now backing up, we're going to talk about the lighting here. So you can see 1, 2, 3 lights up top here, and those are Elgato key lights. So those are controlled by the computer, and they work amazingly. You can control the brightness and the temperature of those as well, so it's really nice. The rest of the lighting, these lights that you see in the background typically that I have on, those are called LifeX beams, and they actually discontinued that product, unfortunately. I tried to get another one a couple years after I had got these, because I got these originally when I first started, but they don't make them anymore, unfortunately. So that was a real bummer. So I had to come up with another solution because I had another wall that I wanted to light up. So I got this floor lamp here, and you've started to see this a little bit in more recent videos. And this is a Govee floor lamp. So this light is amazing. And same deal, it can be controlled wirelessly with the computer, and all these lights can be, so it's very easy for me to just flip them on. So actually, when we go over to my computer here, I'll show you, and I'll separately turn them off. So I can just turn them off, turn them on. Same with this. And just turn it off and on. So really, really nice as far as lighting, and very easy to control. If you're enjoying the content so far, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the description for more resources related to this video, and let's get back to the content. Now let's start talking about some of the audio equipment that I have. Okay, so the first thing up that I use is the TC Helicon Go XLR. You've probably seen a lot of YouTubers use this. It's really, really useful for XLR microphones and controlling audio input. And you can see here that the microphone is actually picking up what I'm actually talking about. And it's picking up through the microphone because I've unmuted it. And there's different kinds of sound effects and things like that that you can put on there. Really useful. And if we go up here, you'll see this big microphone. So this microphone is actually plugged into that device. So that's what was picking up my audio. That's the Rode NTG8 shotgun microphone. You can see that thing is very, very large. And so I have that set up because if I don't want to pull a microphone in front of my face, I just want to record like you'll see in a lot of the videos. I actually use this microphone because I don't have to adjust anything. I just unmute it and start using it basically. So really, really useful. Now you'll see here that it is mounted, and I have a couple of these mounting desk mounts here. Now those are the Elgato Master Mount poles. And again, I have 2 of those. One is not being used currently, but they are very useful for mounting different things. You can put cameras on them, all kinds of stuff. So, and I guess actually I have 3 of them because that camera right there in the center is actually mounted on one too. So I have 2 that are in use and 1 that's not currently in use. Now the next thing that I use that you probably are familiar with or have seen on YouTube is called the Rode Rodecaster Pro 2, and that's this device right here. Again, this is a switcher for XLR microphones or sound effects on there, and I control a lot of the different audio and volume with this actual device. Now, moving on to the microphone that's connected into this, because you can actually connect up to 4 microphones into this. You'll see this boom arm, this arm here, this microphone arm. Now that's the Rode PSA-1 microphone arm. And then attached to it is a Shure SM7B dynamic microphone. Now that microphone and the Rode microphone as well are both very high quality microphones. So this one you'll see in a lot of broadcasting situations or radio shows, podcasts, things like that. The other kind of microphone typically you'll see in like TV recordings or things like that where they don't actually want the microphone to be in the shot. And it's just a difference in how the microphones are actually used. Now, additionally, you'll see over here, as far as headphones, I don't always use this headphone, but this is the SteelSeries Arctis Pro wireless gaming headset. Very, very good headset for gaming or for listening to audio. Typically, I prefer earbuds on a lot of things that I do, but that is definitely a useful pair of headphones if I want to edit or something like that. The other headphones that I have that I use mainly for work are over here, and this is the Jabra Evolve 275 wireless headset with charging stand. So you can see there's a charging stand right there. And when I get done with it, I just throw it on the charging stand. And when I need it, I just pull it off, pull the microphone down, and can start using it. So very useful, especially if you're working remote, from home, anything like that. And that actually has active noise canceling. So it's definitely a high quality microphone and headset. As far as speakers, nothing really that crazy. And some of them are hidden, but you can see here a few speakers. So I have the Logitech Z506 surround sound home theater speaker system. And then I also have this soundbar here, which is a Blue D RGB soundbar speaker. And so that's actually, that speaker, the soundbar is actually plugged into the KVM. So that way, if I switch to different computers, that I can have audio coming out. And then these Logitech speakers are connected into the Rodecaster Pro. So that way, all the primary audio from my main computer will actually come out of those speakers. Now, as far as Stream Decks, you might be familiar with what Stream Decks are. Basically, they are a shortcut keypad, and so you can program with whatever you want. And that's actually how I control my lights too. So all my lights are connected to this, and I can just press a button, it will turn on my lights, or press a button, it'll turn off my lights. Super, super easy. And you can do all kinds of configurations on there, but that's the Elgato Stream Deck XL. So that's the biggest one that they make. And then if you come over here, I actually have another one. I have a smaller one. So this is the large, and then they make an even smaller one than this. But this is the first one that I got, and then I switched the bigger one because I needed more buttons, basically. And so if you're ever gonna get one of these, I would say just get the bigger one if you can, because ultimately most people end up switching to the bigger one. It's just how it is. Now, I also have the Elgato Stream Deck pedal, which is by Elgato, of course. And there are 3 buttons on this. So there's a button in the center, the left, and the right. And I use this and I can switch cameras, or basically the same thing as the other Stream Decks. You can control whatever you want, but those devices I primarily use for recording and switching lights, switching cameras, putting things on the screen, stuff like that. And then I don't really have them super visible. You can see it within all the wires, but right here, there are Philips Hue smart plugs, and those are awesome. So I have my cameras hooked up to those, so that way when I'm ready to record, I can just turn on my cameras with my Stream Deck, right? Because they're gonna control those smart plugs, and then they will turn my cameras on. So I don't have to press buttons on my cameras or mess up the angle or anything like that. They will just do their thing. As far as networking, there is my router. Now, I use just a home, basically prosumer kind of router. So this is a TP-Link AC4000 tri-band Wi-Fi router, and it's the Archer A20. And I got this because I upgraded to fiber internet a couple years ago when I started doing a few streams and getting more serious with YouTube. And basically, I had 1 gig up, 1 gig down, and the router that I had couldn't handle that. So I had to get a new router that could handle that. So I've been very happy with that. Right below it, you'll see my storage device, and this is Synology DS1815 Plus NAS. They do make other ones too, and bigger configurations, more drives. They make smaller ones with less drives, but this has been very, very useful. I use that to store all my stuff, so all my stuff for YouTube and other things too. And you can just basically replace the drives if they start failing. They'll start beeping, turning red on the lights, and then you can just pull it out, put in a new drive, and you'll be good to go. As far as the drives that I use 8 Western Digital Red Pro 4 terabyte NAS hard drives. So each one of those is 4 terabytes. So there's 8 in there. So that's 32 terabytes total of storage. But of course, I do have that in a RAID configuration, so I don't get all that storage space, but it's still plenty for me. And moving on here, in the corner here, and you haven't really seen this much on the actual videos. You've seen it a little bit maybe in past ones and more recent videos, but this is a Dell T5500 that I bought off of eBay about 8 years ago. And this thing is where I put a lot of my virtual machines, and basically I just remote into this. This is kind of my lab computer, so I don't have to run all the virtual machines on my primary computer, which is absolutely huge. And then some of the equipment that I don't use anymore, and we'll just get down here so you can kind of see it. So a cloud lifter. This is really good if you do end up getting that Shure microphone that I have, because some microphones won't be able to power themselves or be loud enough without that. And I used to use that until I got the Rodecaster Pro 2, because that actually provides the same amount of power. Then next to that, and we'll move this case here so you can see it. And I obviously haven't used this in a little bit, but this is a Wacom Intuos Pro Medium Bluetooth drawing tablet. And I got that because I have the bigger screen. So I have this Wacom screen here. And it originally was over here, which is now where I kind of put my work computer. And I changed the configuration. So I moved it from here over to here. And originally I had the tablet, this one down here, right there. And so since I moved the screen, I no longer needed that right there. So I kind of put that off to the side. I'm definitely going to be using that for some other stuff. And I can obviously take it with me, but I don't currently use it. And then here is my old Rodecaster Pro, because I actually have the first version too, but the second version brought a lot of improvements, and including not having to use a cloud lifter and some other audio specific things that I'm not really going to get into in this video. So, and then as far as editing and recording and streaming and everything, this is my main software that I use to record and stream. It's called vMix. It's pretty expensive as far as software goes, but it's professional grade software. And I think it was about $700 for the 4K version, but it's amazing. You could also use like OBS, or I also use StreamYard for interviews. So that's a browser-based software, but it's really, really good. vMix is amazing. And I would never go back unless I really, really had to, because vMix is just great. And then of course for editing, when I'm editing thumbnails and editing videos, I'm using Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Premiere Pro, and then Adobe Photoshop for the thumbnails.
Question of the day: what's in your setup? Did you see anything in this video that you want to add to your setup? Let me know down in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this behind the scenes walkthrough of my minimalist setup for both cybersecurity and for YouTube. If you want to pick up any of this stuff, remember to check out the description, because I've left a link to where it's all linked at. And that's at johngood.com/equipment. Also remember that you don't have to run out and get all of this equipment to start making videos or to be productive in any kind of tech career. But it is some pretty cool stuff. And if you're in the YouTube game, you might want to consider some of these products, because it has made my life way easier to have a lot of this stuff. As always, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the description for more resources related to this video, and I'll see you next time.